Or taxes and what to expect. President Obama insists he is not caving to Republicans on the issue. Reports recently surfaced suggesting the president was willing to give in to GOP demands to extend Bush-era tax cuts to the rich. It is a fight that will play out on Capitol Hill beginning next week when Congress returns for its lame duck session. But the president sets the record straight.
That is the wrong interpretation because I haven't had a conversation with Republican and Democratic leaders. Here's the right interpretation. I want to make sure that taxes don't go up for middle-class families starting on January 1st. That's my number one priority for those families and for our economy. I also believe that it would be fiscally irresponsible for us to permanently extend the high-income tax cuts. I think that would be a mistake, particularly when we've got our Republican friends saying that their number one priority is making sure that we deal with our debt and our deficit.
Okay, asked about his future discussions with party leaders, he would only say he wasn't going to negotiate in Seoul, but negotiate back in Washington. So the other money and politics story we're following, reducing the nation's crushing debt. It was a major theme in the midterm elections. As you know, most of you have made difficult decisions about your own personal debt and finances. Now it is certainly the country's turn. And as this debate unfolds, we are going to go and follow it in depth, in great detail. We will focus on the size of the debt and how we got here, who owns the debt, and why it matters to you, what cuts are being proposed, and what would you cut? Think about that. A preliminary proposal to slash the nation's debt has gotten the conversation going. The plan by the co-chairman of a bipartisan panel calls for deep spending cuts and tax increases to cut $4 trillion over 10 years. It also calls for overhauling the tax code. That could mean the end of some very popular tax deductions. Jeanne, Sahadi, senior writer of CNNMoney.com, breaks the issue down on their website. Jeanne, great to talk to you again. Let's start here. Your article is called Blowing Up the Tax Code. If you would, walk us through the three main ideas for tax reform.
The co-chairman of President Obama's commission did what a lot of tax policy experts have been saying all along needs to happen. They simplify the tax code. Their proposals would simplify the tax code. They reduce the income tax rates for individuals and businesses, and they call for the reduction or elimination of most of the tax breaks that lots of people in the country enjoy, lots of special interests lobby for.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's break these down one by one, starting with the idea of simplifying the tax code.
Right. A couple of things they do. They get rid of things like the alternative minimum tax, which is the so-called wealth tax that is capturing more and more people. It's sort of complicated to figure out. You have to, figure out your taxes twice every year to see if you're going to be subject to it. It's like a marketing plan for Advil. They're getting rid of that. They are reducing the number of tax brackets from 6 to 3. Right now there are 6 tax rates, so under some of their proposals there would only be 3. They also, part of simplification is also reducing the number of tax breaks in the code, but that also accomplishes a lot of other things, and I know we're going to get to it.
Yeah. Okay, so let's. The next item here is the idea of actually lowering tax rates, correct?
Right. And again, that is tied into reducing tax breaks. They have a couple of proposals in their draft plan, and it would reduce rates across the board for everyone, individuals and corporations. The idea of doing it for corporations is that it makes them more competitive internationally because companies will choose to invest here. That's the theory. Another reason for lowering the income tax rates is it makes the whole system more economically efficient. And by that, they mean it would reduce incentives to avoid taxation. In other words, you wouldn't do something economically just to avoid, to lower your tax bill.
Gotcha.
And the same thing is true when you reduce tax breaks. But they're reducing tax breaks for a couple of reasons. One, to simplify the code, but also because we give up about $1 trillion in revenue every year to these various tax breaks. We talk about the mortgage interest deduction, the health tax break you get at work when your employers help you pay for your insurance policies, the charitable deduction, state and local tax deduction. None of these would be sacred under these proposals. They account for a disproportionate amount of that $1 trillion that we lose in tax revenue every year. And this is a deficit reduction plan. So,
I think you blended in some of the ideas on closing some of the tax breaks there, didn't you?
Right.
Actually, yeah.
Well, there are over 200 tax breaks in the code, but about 5 or 6 of them are the most expensive, and they're also the most popular. And so you will see a lot of fights about it. This is just a proposal right now. I don't think, most people don't think that the Fiscal Commission will sign on to it, certainly not as is. But what tax experts are saying is this is really laying the groundwork for people to begin this discussion.
And aren't we getting another report next week with some additional ideas and maybe some of the same ideas on debt reduction?
Yes, Alice Rivlin, who is a budget expert, she's a member of the President's Commission. She is also co-chairing a debt reduction commission for the Bipartisan Policy Center. And they're coming out with their report. And they in fact, are supposed to come out before the President's Commission. And as we know, the co-chairman this week surprised, everybody by putting out their draft. Yeah. So it was my understanding, Alice Rivlin had told us a couple of months ago that she thought that her group's proposal would actually be more aggressive than what the Commission puts out. I think what the final report from the Commission will be less aggressive than either what the co-chairman or what Alice Rivlin's group has put out. But the truth is, once the Commission is gone, they disband after December 1st. These two reports will really lay the mark against which President Obama's 2012 budget proposal will be measured against the proposals that the Republicans and the Tea Partiers who have been complaining about the debt are going to be making. This is an important framework that both groups are laying down.
Okay.